The war in West Asia is expanding, escalating and drawing in new players. The Houthis have now entered this equation, openly backing Iran and warning of military action. Yemen's Houthi leader Abdul Malik al-Houthi has issued a direct warning. He says that his forces are ready to respond militarily as this war intensifies. And he declared full support for Iran, Lebanon and Palestine, making it clear that all options militarily are now on the table, further urging Yemenis to remain prepared and on an alert. Now, this is a significant escalation, remember, because the Houthis control the strategic waterways and have already demonstrated their ability to disrupt global shipping in the past. Their entry could open a new front in this war, potentially dragging the Red Sea into the battlefield. Even as the world reels from the closure of the Strait of Hormuz, potentially signaling they're even ready to hit Saudi Arabia, the U.S. in the battle for Red Sea. That's the big question. Is it going to happen? Now remember, Hezbollah in Lebanon is already active. So are militias in Iraq. The bigger question now is if these groups, along with the Houthis, coordinate their attacks like Hezbollah and Iran have been, could this war spread even further? Now, even as that threat looms, the divide between the West and the U.S. continues to grow further. In the latest, in a post on social media, American President Donald Trump has called NATO as cowards, also saying that without the support of the U.S., the alliance is, in Trump's words, a paper tiger. Donald Trump also said that the fight is militarily won by U.S. and Israel. Now, with this backdrop, Iran is doubling down. Iran's new leader, Mojtaba Khamenei, has issued a sharp warning, saying that enemies of Iran will have their security stripped away, while Iran's military spokesperson said that Israeli and American officials and military personnel will not be safe, whether they are in resorts or tourist centers around the world. A statement that signals the war could extend far beyond traditional battle zones. Remember, even as the toll in the war continues to climb. These warnings come after Israel killed Iran's intelligence minister Ismail Khatib and a spokesperson of the IRGC. Just a short while ago, the IDF has claimed that in a strike in Tehran, Ismail Ahmadi, the head of the intelligence division in Iran's Basij unit, has been eliminated. On the ground, the situation remains volatile. Iran has fired fresh missile barrages towards the country, triggering air raid sirens in Tel Aviv, as explosions from air defense interceptors echoed across the city and sent people scrambling to shelters. In the Israeli city of Rehovot, at least 2 sites were hit, causing damage and injuring 1 person.
Several sites of interceptor shrapnels and missile remnants are in Rehovot. We are here in the central site. We are happy. We are very happy that it ended up this way, with no lives lost. I do want to underline and say that there was this person here who stayed while he heard the alert.
Even as missiles fly, life struggles to continue. In Haifa, a day after Iranian strikes on oil refineries, Israelis have been stepping out, shopping and trying to maintain a routine. But fear remains constant.
It's been really difficult in the last few days here. We had a lot of missiles. We had bombings here yesterday. A missile fell not far away from here. And it's not easy, and you don't see the end very soon. We don't know when the end is.
Iran claims that it has struck U.S. bases, radar stations and military infrastructure as part of its ongoing operation. At the same time, Iranian reports suggest that American and Israeli forces have hit at least 16 Iranian naval and cargo assets, including vessels in port towns. The Gulf continues to be under pressure. The United Arab Emirates says that it has intercepted 4 ballistic missiles and 26 drones allegedly launched from the Iranian territory in just the past 24 hours. Adding to hundreds that have already been neutralized since the war began. Iran has made it clear it is far from weakened. If anything, it is the opposite. A spokesperson of the IRGC said that missile production continues at full capacity amid the war, dismissing any concerns about the stockpiled or capabilities. At the same time, remember, Iran has issued a direct warning to the United Kingdom, cautioning against allowing American forces to use British bases, calling it participation in aggression. Back in Tehran, funeral processions for the top officials killed in the strikes continue to draw crowds in large numbers. These are the visuals from the funeral procession for Iranian intelligence chief Ismail Khatib. With the Houthis now signaling readiness for war, a war that began with strikes is now evolving into a networked war, one where multiple fronts could ignite all at once. First, it was American intelligence raising the alarm, and now it is Israel's military echoing a similar concern. As the war with Iran stretches into its third week for Israel and America, a serious question is emerging. Could this war end up creating a more radical, nuclear-ambitious regime in Tehran? Because that concern is no longer confined to Washington. According to a report by the Jerusalem Post, sources within the Israeli Defense Forces, or the IDF, have flagged the risk that the current war in West Asia could ultimately leave Iran more radical than ever before. The IDF reportedly says that it remains unclear whether the combined pressure from Israeli and American strikes will trigger large-scale protests inside Tehran. Protests strong enough to challenge or even topple the regime. At the same time, the IDF reportedly claims that it has made extensive efforts to shape the conditions on ground. After initial airstrikes targeted senior leadership, air defenses and missile systems, operations reportedly expanded to hit the core institutions of Iranian state control, including the IRGC, the Basij, the Interior Ministry and intelligence networks, systems that enforce authority within Iran. In the recent days, footage has reportedly surfaced showing Israeli strikes on smaller locations within Iran that could allegedly be used to block or disperse the protesters. But there is another more dangerous possibility for Israel and America. Israeli assessments reportedly suggest that Iran could emerge weakened in several domains, including parts of its nuclear infrastructure, yet still retain the capability to deploy a limited nuclear weapon. This assessment comes days after a Washington Post report revealed that U.S. intelligence had already warned of a similar risk, that military action might harden Iran rather than moderate it. That warning, the report says, was conveyed to the U.S. President Donald Trump as well, even before the first strikes began. Also stating that Iran's leadership appears to be consolidating power, leaning heavily on the IRGC and aligning closely with the new leader, Mojtaba Khamenei. So the big question for Israel and America remains, did this ongoing war actually weaken Iran, or has it led to a far stronger enemy? Moving on, Qatar is dealing with deadly blows and the war in Iran has rapidly spread across the region. Qatar's major gas facility is suffering from damage caused by successive missile attacks. The development is raising fears in the global oil and gas market, and some fear that the repercussions might be too much to bear. Ras Laffan Industrial City is Qatar's key site for producing liquefied natural gas or LNG. It is the spinal cord of the world's gas supply, contributing to about a fifth of the world's supply of LNG. It's located 80 kilometers northeast of Qatar's capital Doha and close to the world's largest gas field that the country shares with Iran. The Iranian side is called South Pars. Qatar's side is called North Dome, and it covers an area of more than 6,000 square kilometers. The Qatar Energy has said that these attacks on Ras Laffan have reduced Qatar's LNG export capacity by 17% and an estimated loss in annual revenue of $20 billion. Qatar says that it might take up to 5 years to repair the damage to its production facilities. So all in all, the damage will not just be limited to Qatar, but also Europe and Asia. If the fallout of the Iran war continues to spread in the region, major oil giants fear that prices will skyrocket beyond one's control. The Gulf's biggest oil producer, Saudi Arabia, fears that the oil prices could soar past $180 a barrel if the disruptions persist until late April. Prices that high could push consumers into habits that slash their oil use, may even potentially, for the long term, or even trigger a recession that also hurts demand. Saudi Aramco, which is the country's national oil company, has said that its facilities have repeatedly bared the brunt of strikes in the past 3 weeks, not just the oil and gas network. Remember, Iran's seizure of the Strait of Hormuz, the narrow passage responsible for 20% of the world's oil shipments, is sending ripples across the globe.